Yo, welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna jump into a topic that I've been seeing on my feed a lot, and it's talking about the negativity of college. Me personally, I've always been a person that looks at situations with the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. I've always kind of sat on the middle of the fence when it comes to the pros and cons of college, but I think now as I've gotten older and in college and going through that process, I lean more towards the side of the pros of college, but I definitely understand and respect the cons of college as well. But at the end of this video, I'm just hoping to show you that don't let the negativity ultimately sway your perception of something just because you see so much of it in your algorithm online. There is a lot of benefits and pros to college that a lot of people don't even realize until they actually go through the process or finish the process. So I don't want to get into too much yapping at the beginning. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
College experience to make it seem like the best thing in the world, right? But I'm here to keep it a stack with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna sugarcoat nothing. Let's keep it real. Now, when you first get there on campus, it's gonna seem just like you back in high school. You know what I'm saying? You know, the first week of school, they give you a little syllabus. You know what classes you get. You might change it. People trying to figure stuff out, especially the freshmen. You know what I'm saying? But you get your little syllabus, and then you going about this. What do they call like syllabus week or something like that, right? You just try and get adjusted to everything. You socializing, networking, all that, and you also gonna be getting to know your professors, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You ain't new to this. You know what I'm saying? It is pretty much high school 2.0 to get started. Then after syllabus week, you gonna go into that second week. You gonna be feeling pretty confident. You know what I'm saying? Especially if this your first time in college and you new to this, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, this work ain't too bad, because they keep it light. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna hit you with nothing too crazy. But best believe when you get to that third week, right, and you waking up for them 8 a.m. classes, especially if you're a freshman, like I'm saying, you're gonna have probably a mandatory freshman class, and that class is gonna really have you fighting. You're gonna be in the bed fighting whether you want to get up or not. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, it's gonna start the trickle effect, and then that trickle effect probably gonna lead to you getting too comfortable missing class. Trust me, this happens to everybody. You miss one class, then you start missing a couple different classes, then you look up and you in a situation like, okay, a month or two done passed, what I got going on? Now you having fun. You know what I'm saying? Best believe you probably having fun, you networking, you over there with, you know what I'm saying? You probably got all types of stuff, but we got to remember that work cannot be forgotten, right? But for most people, this always happens. So then you closer towards the end of that first semester, you know what I'm saying? You over there fighting, trying to survive, and what's gonna end up happening is you gonna get a whole bunch of late work, because I don't care if you had a 4.0 in high school, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have at least one late assignment, right? And then if you don't pay attention to that one late assignment and get to it as fast as you can, there's gonna be a whole bunch of them, right? And for the average person, you got a whole bunch of late work or work that you gotta fix or do something about, right? Because you don't wait until the end of the semester, and now you gotta be introduced to AI, right? This is where you got to figure out, oh, is this app going to be the one? Is this app going to be the one? And you're going to get yourself a huge headache. I'm going to save y'all a whole bunch of that trouble, because I ain't going to lie, it's a headache trying to find a good app. The best one that I've been using is Quizzer, right? Because it literally takes a picture of your work, right? And it'll scan everything and give you the answer in like 2 seconds. Like, this junk is so fast. I'm telling you, it's going to come in clutch, especially for my math majors and anybody taking a calculus course. So boom, you done made it through the first half, you know what I'm saying? Going into the second half, aka spring semester, you're going to be thinking you got everything figured out, right? But the main issue you're going to face, right? Because you feel like you got your whole system down with the studying, this teacher, that teacher. You're going to have to relearn the professors if you don't get the same one, all that stuff, right? May not seem like that big of a deal. But with it being hot outside, depending on what university that you go to, you're going to have so many distractions. That's going to be your biggest issue your spring semester. It's probably going to be them distractions, right? And this is going to lead you right back to missing class and barely surviving all the way to the end. It'll pretty much feel like you fighting for your life while having a good time all in one, you know what I'm saying, until you get to that finals week. This is where you really going to be in the gulag, you know what I'm saying? You really going to be in there fighting for your life, because guess what you got to do? You got to worry about all type of essays, all type of late assignments, because you know certain teachers might give you the end of the year, you know what I'm saying, to get all the work in. And if you waited, you're going to be using that last week to lock in on nothing but work, and you're going to drive yourself crazy. Then you got to remember, you got AI now. We're in a new age, you know what I'm saying? It's 2025, but for whenever y'all go, you know what I'm saying, we in a new age right now. You got to use technology. You start using the AI to study, you start locking back in, and then boom, you finally made it. Took that last exam, and you ready to run into the sunset. You know what I'm saying? It's finally vacation time. Then you go on vacation, do whatever you do for your summer break, just to realize you're going to have to do it all over again. And that's pretty much the college experience, just to keep it as simple as I possibly can. You know, now y'all let me know if I miss anything, because I know I could have went into more detail on what really go down there in the spring semester, what them distractions is, all that, you know what I'm saying? But this is pretty much the college experience in its realest form. You know what I'm saying? Besides all the, oh, it's just fun and fun and fun, though.
I'm gonna leave all my thoughts for when I talk about the pros and cons in my section. Right now, we're just gonna listen to some of what people have to say on TikTok, get a couple of those different perspectives on the good and the bad, and then we can go into my thoughts.
For a minute, I've been getting my shit together, but I'm back. And I've been doing a lot of thinking, like I've been shitting on college a lot. And I know it's a topic of black men going to college and shit. So now we're going to talk about the pros of going to college. I know everybody say this, but like it's not stress enough. Living on your own is really like just a eye opener. And like you really learn how to like move by yourself for real, like in self motivation. And you feel me? Like you gotta become like your own motherfucker. Like you really learn a lot about yourself. Like I ain't even gonna lie. That's one thing I can say college taught me is just a lot about myself and living on your own and going through like certain shit. And you could call somebody, but they can't come help you, bro. Like it's real. I ain't gonna lie. And especially if you play sports and like sports ain't going well and you living on your own and you going through all this shit cause it's really gonna make or break you. And I could say the motherfuckers that it break, they're not ready for this type shit yet. Whole time, like nobody was ready for this shit. You just gotta learn how to adapt. Like I ain't even gonna fake. Second part is just not being around your parents all day. Like, bro, feels so good. I love my mama to death, bro. I love my siblings to death, but bro, sometimes you just need to like, in order to grow, bro, you just gotta go and be alone, gang. I ain't gonna lie. But that could work backwards though, because you don't got somebody telling you to do the right shit all the time. So if you don't want to go to class, gang, you just don't go, or you don't want to go, wake up for this or that, or study for this and that, bro. You won't do it. But if like you learn how to manage all that shit in the right way, cause it's really gonna build a good habit in you. I ain't gonna damn what's going on outside. Like I was saying, it's gonna build a good habit. I ain't gonna fake. The third part is actually working towards what you want, bro. This is the best part about college. The reason why I hated school is because it was just so much pointless shit that I did not fucking care about. Now, being in college, you're going to have like couple dumbass classes, couple prereqs and bullshit, but you're also going to get taught what you really need to learn. Like if you a doctor, cuz you're going to be dissecting brains and shit. You in bio, you're going to be doing all this weird shit in the lab and shit, which I personally love. I ain't going to lie. So you're actually working towards what you want. The third thing, or whatever number I'm on, is just like how many different type of people you meet, bro. Like I didn't met a nigga from Australia and he told me that he came here because he said he liked the Pittsburgh Steelers, so he looked up schools close to Pittsburgh, and this was the first one that accepted him. It had me weak, but I met a nigga from Australia. If I never went to college, I probably would have never met a nigga from Australia unless I went there. You see what I'm saying? It's Korean shorties here that don't know a lick of English, gang. And I'm just seeing them every day. You feel what I'm saying? Like, then it's people from like the South, people from the Midwest, people from damn near towards Cali. I met a nigga from Washington. Like, and I'm in Pennsylvania, cause Washington is that way. If you know your map, you feel what I'm saying? You just meet so many different people. I ain't even gonna lie. And last but not least, if you take advantage of the opportunities that are presented and like you actually make college work for you, bro, you're gonna like. There's no way you could fail. I'm a freshman, gang. I just got here. I'm working in a lab. My resume's fat, cause like. If I were to apply for an internship, which I should have been did, but I didn't, I've been procrastinating, cause why would they take me? Like my resume is fat. Like you just gotta you gotta see the opportunity, and once you see that bitch, you gotta take it, bro, because I promise you, colleges will provide that shit, but it's up to you. I ain't gonna lie. Do I recommend college for everybody? No. But I do think everybody should seek higher education, whether that's trade, etc. You feel what I'm saying? And if you are willing to go through all that shit I just said and willing to like, feel me, like go above and beyond because of a certain goal you want, bro, come. I ain't gonna lie, go. It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best thing you ever did. I ain't gonna lie.
All right, so now we're gonna get into my thoughts, my perspectives, kind of give a little breakdown of both the pros and the cons of college. Just through a little bit of my time in college, as well as, you know, doing a little bit of research, getting different perspectives, and just kind of providing that to y'all here in a kind of wrapped up, tied up with a nice little bow presentation on that. And just, you know, get, like I said at the beginning, provide those different perspectives, because there's so much negativity on the internet. I like to show people both sides, and then you ultimately make your own decision based off that. But so first we're gonna get into the college pros. So, first section, we're going to get into better career opportunities. One of the college pros is better career opportunities. Obviously, when you seek higher education, having that piece of paper means a lot. But at the same time, nowadays, it's starting to mean less and less because a lot of these companies want you to have experience as well, which that comes with the balancing that you have to understand and get to know when you get off to college, especially if you go off to a university. Time management. That's very important in college, especially if you're going to be working a part-time job as well as pursuing your education. But employers tend to view a degree as proof of knowledge, discipline, and commitment. And I had an employer tell me that before when I applied, and I asked, what was so important about the degree that stands out to employers? And he stated, one of the main things that we look for is that you can that piece of paper shows that you can start something and finish it. If you can start something and finish it, that means so much because college is not easy. So you having that commitment and that discipline to get into something like college and then get that piece of paper at the end shows that you wouldn't give up on your job if we hired you. I was like, oh, okay. I respect that. I never looked at it from that perspective. It also helps you qualify for higher level positions. Obviously, with that degree, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, degrees like that tend to get you into positions that pay more and get you into positions that the average person with no education would not be able to get into unless they put in the time. And yes, I know back in the day, things used to be different where you didn't even need a degree, or you could have an associate's and you could probably work your way all the way up to CEO of some companies if you stayed there long enough. But that's obviously has changed, times have changed, and that degree is starting to mean more. But like I said at the beginning, we gotta capitalize on that job experience. A lot of college students think they can just go off to college, get the piece of paper, come out, and they good to go. Nah, you gotta be doing something. You can't just have a good time. You gotta build that resume, make that thing look really nice and desirable for employers. But if you just think you just going to classes, passing, and let's say you walk out of there with a 3.7, congratulations to you. But your resume shows you've done nothing for the past 4 years, but attend classes. Higher earning potential. Piggybacks a little bit off of the last one I just spoke on. On average, people with degrees tend to make more money over their lifetime than people without degrees. And that's a factual statement. Unless, obviously, you fit in that category of owning your own business, entrepreneurial status, or you get a trade or something along those lines. But seeking a trade is also seeking higher education, so that doesn't count. But that in those cases, that's why it says on average, people with a degree tend to make more than people who don't have some type of degree. So that's one of the major benefits you can receive if you go and seek your education. All right, going into the next section, specialized knowledge and skills. Examples are scientists, doctors, engineers, architects. I mean, we wouldn't have a lot of the buildings that we have nowadays. We wouldn't have electricity wouldn't be flowing. We wouldn't have chemical plants. We wouldn't have cars. We wouldn't have cell phones without a lot of these major occupations. So to be able to specialize in a skill such as some of those that I just listed, and to be able to create possibly future items, technology, things of that nature that we would be able to use in the future or now, is probably one of the most incredible things that I would say that comes out of education. Just to be able to create something that people will use for a lifetime is incredible. Like a car, man, that's amazing. And then the transition of the car as it goes into the future, next thing you know, we got flying cars and hovering cars and just things of that nature. I would say those are some of the beautiful parts of getting that education, and saying you can stamp your name on the fact that I was a part of this, or I created that, or I provided or helped provide the cure to this disease. I think that's pretty cool. Or I saved somebody's life because I have this specialty. I have this knowledge in brain surgery and things of that nature. You gain critical thinking skills, the ability to do research, communicate effectively, and problem-solving skills that employers value. What a lot of people don't realize when you go to school, I would say one of the two biggest things that I take from college is critical thinking. You don't realize that that's a skill that you learn by taking those classes, being able to critically think your way out of situations. It's such an important skill in life. And it's even just, in life in general. It's not even for just hard situations only. It's for everyday tasks that you realize that if I didn't have this critical thinking skill, I would struggle to get things done. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've all observed someone at your current job or former job who you're like, man, this person has no critical thinking skills, cannot figure anything out, doesn't know how to, doesn't believe that they'll ever get the hang of the job. And then another one that goes right alongside that is problem solving. I feel like they complement each other very well. Problem solving skills. We all know somebody, we've been on a job where it's like, I don't know if you don't have common sense or what, but there's no way you just ask me how to do that when it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, or are too lazy to apply themselves to figure out how to solve that problem. But yes, very, very, very crucial. Employers always look for that. What they may not make that statement, or they may not say that to you, but you'd be surprised how uncommon critical thinking and problem solving is, to the point that employers love to see that, as well as you applying those skills at other jobs. So that's why they look for, on hand in hand, they're looking for the piece of paper, which is their degree, as well as the job experience. Because they're like, okay, you have these skills, now show me that you've applied them as well. So that's one of those crucial parts. And I feel like one of the most important things two of the most important things and skills that I've taken from college myself. All right, now we're talking about network opportunities. Networking, in my opinion, is probably one of, or is the most important thing you can do as a student in college. I know so many college students who just be begging and so eager to go off to a university, either go up there and waste a bunch of time and then come back in debt looking sick, or you got people who go up there and do the bare minimum and think they just need to show up to class. Once they secure that degree, they good to go. They'll have a high paying job and life's gonna be good. That's not how that works. College offers so many opportunities, it's not even funny, that a lot of college students don't educate themselves on, and until it's too late and they're already out there searching in the job market, degree has been secured, and they feel like, man, college was a waste of time, and they're all upset because it's hard to find a job. But what they fail to realize is networking is so key. And it's very important to network through meeting professors, classmates, alumni, industry professionals, because through networking, you get to honestly set yourself up for future opportunities. And those connections end up leading to internships, mentorships, job opportunities. And you kind of lead yourself on a path to where you've built such a strong connection with these people, to where by the time, before you even secure your degree, you already have opportunities lined up. But like I said, so many people don't even realize that. And they just want to just show up to class and think that once that paper's in their hand, life's set for it. Unfortunately, that's not how it goes. You got to network, you got to get yourself out there, you got to be brave, you got to make connections. That's the only way you're going to get to where you need to be. There are the lucky few who don't have to do that. Those tend to be the ones who have specialized degrees. But the average college student, you got to network, you got to build those connections so you can set yourself up for success instead of setting yourself up for failure, and then you're having debt, and then you working a job that's not paying enough to pay off that debt that you just racked up. All right, next one for pros is personal growth. There is nothing like being away from home, being away from your parents, having to take on your own responsibilities, take care of yourself, being down bad, being broke, and basically having to adapt, adjust, and figure things out as you learn how to be on your own. Those are crucial skills that you learn as a college student, because most college students don't go into college with money. Most college students don't go into college with resources and help. I mean, obviously your parents are going to do the best that they can, but you kind of learn and build on those skills, and you kind of build up on that independence. So living away from home or managing your own schedule builds that independence. That's the key word, and that's the key skill that one of the key skills you learn when you go off on your own and go off to a university. Even if you go to a community college, you still learn those skills, because you got to be on time to class. You got to make sure those assignments are turned in. You got to be on top of that, because I had a rude awakening coming from high school. Those college professors are not going to continuously remind you when things are due. You got to be on top of that. If you're not on top of that, you're obviously going to get an F on that assignment because you didn't have that turned in. And then you also develop life skills such as time management, responsibility, and decision making. Things like that obviously are going to just naturally be applied because you're an adult. If you're someone who's actually trying in college, you're trying to get to the end of that finish line. So you're going to apply those skills to get you there, because you no longer have people to rely on. 9 times out of 10, when people are going off to a university, they may all go off to a university where they might know 1 or 2 people. Sometimes they go off to a university where they know no one. So you really just don't have anybody to rely on but yourself. So you kind of have to step up to the plate or get left behind. The next pro is access to resources. This piggybacks off of networking opportunities. There's so many resources at college that a lot of college students don't realize and they don't utilize. College provides career services, internships, research opportunities, and club and organizations. When internships, research opportunities, club organizations, you have to realize when you're going for these jobs, having a resume that looks juicy, looks desirable for employers, it speaks volumes. If you get out of college and showing that you were the president of this club and you were the vice president of that club, and you had internship with Dell and you had an internship with Microsoft, why would Apple not want to hire you? You put in the work, you showed skills of leadership, responsibility. You proved that you could do this tech job at Dell and you could do this tech job at Microsoft. Why would we not want to hire you? And that's what I'm saying. You build that resume up to show these employers that I didn't just waste my time in college. I didn't just show up to classes. I used the resources that were provided to me and took advantage of. And now I'm a desirable candidate that you cannot look past. And if you look past, guess what? I guarantee I'm gonna get snatched up by somebody else because I put in the work. And then these can help you explore interests and build your resume. Piggybacked a little bit off of what I said earlier, but ultimately you want to do those things to build up that resume to make yourself more desirable for employers. Next section, pathway to advanced degrees. Just to keep it short and sweet, because I know it may sound like common sense, but without college, you cannot obtain honors of securing a bachelor's, which then allows you to pursue even higher education in grad school, where you can go off and get your master's or a doctorate. And that's sweet, simple, short. Leave it at that. Now we're going to transition over to the cons. Let's get into the negativity of it all. All right, first section in the college con section. We're talking about high costs. Tuition, books, housing fees can become ridiculously expensive depending on the university that you're attending. Many students graduate with student loan debt, which can take years or even decades to pay off. That's probably one of the number one things stopping a lot of people from attending college, which also piggybacks on the fact that they go into college not knowing exactly what they want to do. And for instances like that, yes, I don't expect you to know exactly what you want to do straight out of high school. And you also get you gain a lot of life experiences and skills going off to a university. But I learned from my experiences, there's nothing wrong with starting off at community college. Most of the time, community colleges have they have better programs and scholarships to kind of set you up to where you may not even have to pay anything going off to that community college. And while you're in community college, you can figure out what degree you want to major in. And that, lessens the debt or completely avoids the debt for the first 2 years while you're going through that figuring out process. And then when you go off to whatever university that is for your last 2 years, associates is secured and you already know exactly what you want to move full steam ahead to. And that ultimately usually sets people up for success, which makes the process a lot smoother when you go off to that university. And then you also have that discipline of getting your work done while you're at a community college, because depending on where you live, community colleges still turn up. You can still have a good time. But knowing that you're close to home, you've already developed that discipline, and you're a little bit older and more mature, when you go off to that university, you're not making those same mistakes that a freshman and a sophomore would still make going straight from high school to a university. Time commitment. Securing a degree. Okay, so time commitment, yes. You get a reality check real quick when you get into college, but when securing a degree, it takes 4 years or more depending on the student. During that time, you might miss opportunities to earn full-time income or gain work experience. And it just depends on the person. Ever since I got into college, I was able to work a part-time job or a full-time job and go to school and be a full-time student at the same time. So it just depends on you as a person, how good your time management is. Some people don't have great time management. Some people feel like they'd be overwhelmed trying to juggle all those tasks at once. So just focusing on school is their main priority. And that's you. If that works best for you, that works best for you. Me, I always wanted to have my own money and at the same time try and secure that education, which it ultimately worked out for the best, but I had my own hiccups and I had to get better at time management, because at first it was definitely a struggle and it was overwhelming trying to get all that stuff done and not be so tired from work and doing the vice versa and still getting those assignments turned in on time. But being able to do that honestly prepares you for real life, because right out of high school, especially if you go straight to a university, even as well as with community college, you just kind of get hit with life. You get hit with a real perspective of life at such a young age. You get that reality check quick, and depending on the person, you either suit up, get right, and learn and adapt and grow, or you fold under the pressure and you ultimately get sent packing. And you're back home with debt, figuring shit out, and sometimes blaming the college experience and blaming the fact that no one told you this and no one told you that. Nah, take that self-accountability, man. All right, on to the next. Debt risk. If you take out large loans and your career choice doesn't pay that well, repayment can become stressful, and some graduates struggle financially because the salary doesn't match the cost of their degree. I know I'll get into the degrees a little bit later on, but yes, that's a big one for a lot of people. That gives them that hesitancy because they know people who went off, got a degree that they're not using, and ultimately is just making average money or making the same amount of money as that person who is like, I don't see the point in going off to college if you went off and we're making the same amount and you're not doing any better than me. And like I said, I'll get into degrees a little bit later, but just to, do a touch on them. It depends on what degree you're going for. There are certain degrees, there's specialized degrees that will get you to that 6-figure mark or get you to that high paying career that, is kind of played on that game of life, where if you go off to college, there's a higher chance of getting that. That's basically what this is as well. But it all depends on what degree you're going in for. If you're getting one of those basic degrees, you're gonna end up working a basic job, making the same amount as a person who didn't even go to college, and you stuck paying all that debt, and it ultimately piles up, and end up getting online and complaining about how life is difficult and it's a struggle. But that was your choice, and what people don't do is research their degrees. They don't research the average salary, and even if they do, they take that at its word. But it's like, okay, did you actually put in work in college to get yourself to one of those places that's paying a higher salary in that degree? Did you put in the work to make your resume look so presentable and make yourself so desirable that those companies would want to hire you? Most people don't, especially the ones who get those basic degrees, and they just kind of ride through college and expect somebody to just pick them up and they're good to go. But that's not how it works. And that's when that reality check hits them real quick. I spoke on it a little bit earlier. The next section is talking about degree not required for a good job. Many good high-paying careers don't require a degree, such as trades. We got electricians, plumbers, welders. There are also certain tech roles that just require certifications, and sometimes just experience if you're good enough. Entrepreneurship is also a great route for those of you who have a bright idea and want to turn that into a business. So just to speak on this a little bit, yes, that's another con to college, because people are starting to see, especially the younger generation, that college isn't the only route to go, and I can still make really good money without needing a degree. And that is ultimately true. That's 100% true. Especially with all the different opportunities with drop shipping. You got YouTube, social media, you got streaming on TikTok, you got becoming an influencer on Snapchat and Instagram. Those are more appealing to the younger generation than going off to college, and they look at it as a waste of time and getting themselves into debt, when there's ways that they can display their personality and get paid for it, and they also feel like it's less work. But college isn't for everybody. But I always say there is crucial skills that you learn from college that you just can always take and put them into life. It's very beautiful once you've gone through the process. Next section, overqualification or unemployment. A lot of graduates end up working in jobs that don't require a degree, especially if their major has limited demand. Degrees such as, just two examples, because I know a decent amount of people who have degrees in this area, which is business and communication. Broad degrees like that is just not going to get you the results that you're looking for unless you put in some serious work while you off at a university. You were the president of here, you were the vice president here, you joined a fraternity here, you did volunteering here, you got interns out the wazoo, and you just kind of dipped your hat in every little area. And if you do something like that, you definitely set yourself up for success. And it may not even be in your degree field, which I know some people with business degrees and communication degrees who went off into tech or who went off into e-commerce or doing something along that lines for a big company, or doing something that's way off left field from what they majored in. And those are the steps you would have to take to really make a broad degree like that beneficial to you, especially if you're gonna have college debt and things like that to pay off, and you ultimately didn't want to go to college to make the same amount you could have made not going to college. All right, next one, academic pressure and stress. It is a lot. Like I said, I talked about it earlier, that reality check when you get into college and basically having to take all of this on by yourself, time management, but coursework, exams, deadline, balancing life responsibilities can create a lot of stress for some students. And that stress can become overwhelming. And for some people, when a lot of that stress is accumulated, they tend to relieve that stress through drugs, partying, missing classes, not showing up, and then they flunk out, and then they get sent home, debt accrued, blaming the world, instead of locking in and focusing up. So you have to, this is one of those skills that you develop and start slowly taking those steps into adulthood of being able to get all that under control, get yourself organized, build yourself a plan, and tackle each thing one by one. It is going to be stressful at first, but that's where critical thinking comes in. That's where problem solving comes in. You have to solve your own problem. You're solving that problem because you want it that badly. You're not going to solve the problem if you don't want it that bad. And a lot of people go into college with the wrong mindset, and they just think of just the fun, and then they put the grades and the education on the back burner and wonder why they're in the position that they're in. So take those skills that you're going to be developing and learning and really capitalize on them and finish the process. Employers, as I'm saying, employers look for that stuff. They love that stuff. Okay, you went in, you started it. We know how tough college is. You got to the finish line. Amazing. And now that you made it to the finish line, while you were in there, what were you doing and where were you applying those skills to? Oh, you had some time at Panera, you had an internship here, you had an internship there, part-time job at Wendy's. These things, it just builds you up as a person. It just makes you, like I keep saying, more desirable for employers. And then the last section in the cons is the fear of missing out. While you're building, someone else might be gaining work experience, building a business, learning a trade, traveling, or experiencing things you might not be able to because you're in school. And that's perfectly fine. FOMO is a real thing. You're young, you want to have fun, you want to enjoy life. But you have to, you have to figure out what is the most important thing for you. You have to put your priorities in the right place. You have to set that foundation and figure out, would I rather work hard now and enjoy later? Or do I want to enjoy now and kind of figure out things a little bit later in your life? It is all up to you as a person. I know some people in their young 20s, they had the best time of their lives, they enjoyed their lives. And now they're working now and figuring things out now a little later in their 20s or early 30s to get to where they want to be in their mid 30s to late 30s, maybe even early 40s. I feel like I sacrificed early 20s and I'm still sacrificing now to be able to get to live the life that I want to live by the time I reach hopefully early 30s to mid 30s. So I'm not, I don't want to take too long to get to where I need to be. But it all depends on that person's mindset. And I always say, don't ever look at it as you're missing out on something. Look at it as, I'm focusing on this right now. I will get to enjoy that at a later time. All based on your priorities and who you are as a person. All right, so we got through, 7 sections of the pros, 7 sections of the cons. I just want to end it off here with this. Hit you with my ending statements. College has its pros and it has its cons, like most things in life, but it's up to you to determine if the pros outweigh the cons or vice versa, and make the best decision for your life. At the end of the day, a lot of people are heavily influenced by the negativity on the internet, but being able to separate what's on the internet from real life and being able to do your own research and not take what people say at face value is a crucial skill that I believe a lot of people can add to their arsenal. That's why I always say, the internet is not a real place. Live in real life. But I'm gonna leave it off right there. I don't think I need to add any more to that. I would love to read what you guys think on everything I just talked about. Get your experiences, get your different perspectives, especially talking about the pros and cons of college. And ultimately, if you like the video, drop a like for me. I would definitely appreciate that. Other than that, take it easy.